Wait, don't do it. If you're throwing away your 3D prints that didn't finish printing, there's many things that you can do with them. Of course, depending how much you have of a print. That happened to me, and I'm gonna show you what I recommend. So let's start. As you can see, I have two skulls. One is white, completely was a successful. You can see the whole shape, and I have a gray one that this skull is missing the top part, so that's the part I'm gonna miss. Some people may say that it wasn't really that big of a damage, so I have another one that I'm gonna do in another video that you can see it's almost missing the entire face. So if you want me to do that really soon, please comment below. Otherwise, I'm gonna put it in the back of my list of things to create. Just comment below. So now what I'm gonna do is fix this top using aluminum foil and polymer clay. With the aluminum foil, that's gonna be just kind of my guide to know exactly how the skull is supposed to be. In this occasion, I'm gonna do a little bit bigger because, to be honest, no one is gonna see it. I don't really care. So it's gonna be just my base to start doing my helmet, because this is gonna be a Spartan warrior. Something that happened when I put the clay is I could have just done a brain and paint my skull and probably done with it, but I wanted to do something a little bit more complicated. So I decided just to go for the helmet. How cool is a Spartan warrior? Let's start just putting it slowly. I could have done many things when we're talking about creating hard surfaces. Polymer clay, at least for me, is kind of hard to really smooth. There are many techniques. You can just try to go over and over until it's completely flat, or you can sand it at the end. I could have used also a pasta machine and just run it through there and have completely flat surfaces, but in this occasion I was limited on clay, so I'm just trying to work on the entire helmet, and I was having difficulty because when I was working in one side, the other side was being pushed either by my other hand or the table. So the best thing to do when you're working with polymer clay is do like a really basic shape and then do a first bake, because remember, polymer clay, you have to bake it, and you can bake it multiple times. That's the really powerful thing about this clay. So what I'm gonna do is do the first bake. Usually you can put it in a conventional oven, like your kitchen oven, but I don't want to risk it because I'm gonna put it also with the resin skull. So I'm not really sure. I know resin is toxic. This is already dry, but it's gonna be heated. So just to be safe, I have this tiny oven that I use to bake polymer clay. So I'm gonna put it inside my piece. When I put it on the oven, I see that the very top part of the helmet is almost touching the ceiling of the inside of the oven. So I know that is gonna give me problems, but I'm just gonna leave it there and hopefully it's not gonna burn too much. Remember, if you leave polymer clay too long on the oven, just follow the instructions on the package, but pretty much it will burn it. It will be dark, but if it is extremely burn, it's gonna start producing bubbles, and that's gonna completely destroy your figure. So now that I can take it out of the oven and you can see that it did burn the top part, I'm not really gonna worry because it didn't deform anything. It's just dark. So I'm just gonna start creating the other parts on my skull. I'm gonna try to smooth more and just try to create more details. Now that I have the first layer, we can say is solidified, it is super easier just to add things on top. I was surprised that, yeah, the plastic, the resin, I didn't think even got really hot. The polymer clay, when you finish baking it, it will be really hot, so be careful. But I thought just calling it wasn't that much, so I was surprised about that. So now that I have the first layer, that I did it with my hands, I always also try to bring my tool. My tool is gonna help me just to go and try to flat some parts of the sculpture. Also is gonna allow me to push the clay and try to do certain parts that will be kinda sharp, if we can say it like that. You just have to keep going. So I'm liking how it's turning out, so I'm gonna now create the hair that goes on the top. I just go slowly creating details. Moving around your sculpture, you have to go from one side to the other, kinda look at far away to make sure that you have the proportion that you want. So now I'm gonna do another bake. To be honest, in this I didn't record it, but part of the... Oh no. Oh, good. I drop it and nothing happened. One of the things that happened is in the side of the skull. I was trying to separate a little bit because I pushed it too much, and we know that you have the muscles, you have the skin, so it cannot be really the helmet glued to the skull. So I was trying to use my tool while it was hot to try to have a little bit of separation, and I knew but I did a little bit too hard, and then that part just broke apart. If you have something like that happen, what you can use is either liquid clay or glue that is for clay, that is for baking. What I did here is I put just actually regular white glue, and I put more polymer clay. I keep working, and then when I was happy, I put it in the oven again. And then you have to be careful. The oven has these grids that when I put my sculpture now on the side, because I didn't want to damage the part that I was broken, some lines appear in one side, because they were kind of touching that grid. Usually what I use when I put it in the conventional oven is just a regular cooking pan, and also I put aluminum foil sometimes. And what I did here later on is just grab some aluminum foil and create like a base. But after we're done, you can see how we have the whole helmet. I'm really happy. I like the damage that I did. I wasn't sure if it would have been with an axe or something that I would have destroyed. Actually, I was thinking more like an explosion, but thinking that he was battling a god or something like that. But I saw the face and I said, this looks kind of simple. I need something else. To be honest, I wanted to do like a full diorama, but I don't have polymer clay and I cannot really get right now more. So what I decided to do was the Spartan shield, or at least part of it, because like I mentioned before, I didn't have enough clay. My idea also was to create like a spear or a sword, but I didn't have the polymer clay. So I just gonna create it. I'm gonna try to shape it, try to go really simple design, really the typical Spartan. The hardest thing is to create the circle and to shield. Every single time that I put it a little bit more clay, I realized the size of my skull, and I said, no, this needs to be bigger and bigger until I didn't have more clay to make it bigger. So I decided to stop and just try to mold it with my hands. I'm a little bit disappointed that some part they move around, so they didn't stay straight. I mean, I did it straight one time, and then just working around it, trying to push it to make it more like a shield. I didn't realize that I was pressing down, and I kind of deformed like the design in the middle of the shield. But I still like it. I really like it.
15 minutes later.
So now it's time to paint. So I'm just gonna use acrylics. I don't have anything else, and a couple of really old brushes. So I know the paint is not gonna be perfect, but I'm gonna go for a simple gold or bronze helmet, bronze color. But the only thing that I have is gold, so this is gonna be a gold armor. So I'm just gonna go and paint it slowly. First, I like to add a black layer. This is gonna be my prime, and also it's gonna help me have those tones. Any paint that you put on top of a black paint, it will make it look a little bit darker, a little bit more real, not that bright. I'm gonna paint gold, and I'm gonna work on my skull. My skull was gray, so I'm just gonna put a little bit of white. I don't want to look really white, so I'm just gonna kind of tone it down. I didn't want to look like the gray that it was, but I think it didn't turn out that bad. I'm gonna paint also the hair of the helmet, that red part. Pretty much I'm happy. Like I mentioned before, I was trying to create something like with a spear, a sword, but because at the end I wasn't sure where to put the skull, the shell was too big. But let's see the final result. In the legend says that in the time where the gods wanted to destroy all the world, the last Spartan warrior that traveled many miles, had to defeat many monsters. But in that day, that is supposed to be the end of the world, he was on the very top of the Mount Olympus, in front of all the gods. He had his heavy armor. In the left hand, he can barely hold that heavy shield. On his right arm, that sword that helped him go through so many battles was getting really heavy. He looked up at the very first god that was in front of him. He tried to get all his strength and ran. He wanted to stab, to revenge, to promise that no god was going to destroy any more humans. From nowhere, from his back, a light appeared. He wasn't sure what it was, but he turned around. He defended himself with the shield. For a second, we can see just part of the shield being destroyed. He was pushing to the ground, and there was this cloud of dust. After the dust disappeared, you can see him more wounded, more tired than ever, put himself together again. He couldn't give up. He needed to save his family. He had a wife, a daughter, and a son. He knew he couldn't give up yet. He grabbed his sword and again started running and running. But before he can give his last blow, lightning bolt went directly to his face, destroying the helmet, ending his life. Every single god was surprised. They thought that kind of a human was lost long time ago. And the legend says that the god decided to go far away to another universe, another galaxy, another time. And they promised never destroy a human again. And the legend says that wherever the Olympus is now, at the very top, in the main plaza, around all the houses of the gods, still the broken shield, the broken helmet with the skull of the last Spartan warrior. Or at least that's what I thought. I mean, I have a lot of imagination and I can tell you and create so many stories. The story actually I came up with it just a few seconds ago. I just wanted to say something more about this character. So it's pretty cool. What do you think? Actually, I'm loving the story that I create. If you like art, enjoy my videos, subscribe, comment below, check my links, and see you next time. I need to create a sword. I really do.